Have you ever wondered why today you are winning on Australian races and tomorrow you are losing everything? Have you ever wondered why, today you are doing well with some methods of easily identifying winners, but these methods are useless in the next few days? The whys are briefly discussed and answered. Do make time to share with your heavily addicted friends who are attempting to win extremely large sums of money from these races. There's no free money for punters, there are only free lunches for the owners who had the ownership. Everything works the same way in these ecosystems of zero-sum domain, it is just the presentation is different, ranging from stocks, crypto, forex, and sports. Stay safe. Do subscribe, like, and share my videos as always. Stay safe as always.
This could also mean that when people stake all of their money on a few currencies, the people who collected the bets will give out the smallest payout. If we apply this to soccer bets, horse racing, and many other sports, it works the same way. The industry is booming, and more betting shops are opening every year. Therefore, understand that whatever the outcome of the game, the ownership personnel will be the key deciders. They may use this as an easy edge to pick up all the money if you are betting on their teams, horses, or hounds after some monetary calculation prior to the game. However, in order to further aggravate more baits and future planning, 30% of the favorites can still win. This is so true that we tested using the same algorithm to control the outcome of the races, even though the racing surface, distance, trainers, jockeys could be different, the odds remained the same. To this extent, we hope to emphasize a common overall outcome for any race, but the results were always different, the logic applied and the methodologies are not aligned to one another. Some may argue that different meetings are not correlated and cannot be expressed in such a manner. But our main objective is to warn punters never to assume or use 1-to-2 standard logic against concurrent races. Our close observations show that on weekdays when the betting volume is scarce, the results are always erratic. Why is this so? Because the zero-sum process at play did not reach its full potential. The fewer the tickets, the easier it is to fix and manipulate the races, as many owners are not benefiting from the small betting volume. As it is the weekend, there is a lot of betting going on and the bets are huge, which allows the zero-summed methodologies to be summoned in and greatly benefit from it. More favorites are seen to be winning where second or third favorites may not survive. Similarly, second favorite may win while the other two favorites are nowhere to be seen. Overall, the settings are too obvious, and the punters can't tell much of a difference because the favorites always win, this resulting in you win some you lose some theory. Since the inception of Betfair decades ago, people have been betting more on in-play races. With many punters chasing fast recovery and easy money when a race leader appears prominently stable and strong. However, as the betting market closed and this runner approaches the final 500 meters, the leader abruptly stops or slows, in contrast to the ferocious pace displayed in the previous segment. Money swooped in with just the blink of an eye. How many times had this occurred, and why so? How could a jockey be unable to make a decision on a horse he is riding when all tactics are planned and discussed prior to the race? It seems completely illogical to race a horse when all its statistics are well read. The only possibility is to bait for attention to be heavily punted on.
We've seen this far too often. There have been instances when a horse at 14-1 was pushed down to twice its value. What caused this trigger? Is it real, or did the owner purposefully broadcast his intention that his horse would win? Consider this, as previously stated, we are on a zero-sum market, which means that any one-sided bets will cause a huge drop in a horse's odds. If you are an owner, would you rather steal the race with a higher payout because you know your horse has a hidden winning ability or extremely good gears change to improve its chance? As a result, from the perspective of the owner, throwing away a large profit appears to be impossible. Yes, I agree that odds firming should be interpreted as a sign of support, and that makes sense at times. However, firming up prices also implies that others are drifting, the hidden reasons commonly associated with the sucking of money from bettors who throw hard on some pre-planned runners that are used as bait. Now guess what? The money is being transferred on betting on other arranged runners in the same race which involved a few shareholders of the losing favorites. The money will be joyfully split between them at the end of the race. Imagine money on your favorites was taken away and it was thrown on others to firm up the market. Those runners appear to win from a legitimate stand. What a win-win arrangement it is. I've seen so many horses winning when their odds started to drift, and if punters base solely based on odds firmly to succeed, then he could be in trouble. The entire plan of a meeting never works in a standard model. It is embedded with different combination of metrics. To be exact, there's no sure loser or winners. Everything is based on zero-sum money manipulation behind the scenes and how the syndicates and owners interpreted the way the races should be run and how this will affect punters' spending on later races. For example, in the first 3 races, all longshots won, and the next 4 to 8 races were won by favorites. Fixing power should not be underestimated as it intimidates punters not to go for favorites, thus gaining more profits or less loss for the bookmakers. The industry is so well interconnected that almost no one is spared if going big or hard on it. The risk of using a single system for all races highlights many risks and dangers, as many syndicates run differently on different markets. Taking Asian markets for example, the syndicates have their own set of rules and protocols. Horses paying 50 to 1 or more can win like nobody's business just to wipe out all the favorites in one swoop when the sure win news are spread out almost everywhere. This is less common in the United Kingdom, Australia, and South Africa. In another example, let's take on the United Kingdom. Their races ran with 3 horses. Some may think this is foolish, but by doing so, the syndicate fully realized the huge potential of zero-sum dollar logic. 2 of the runners placed are not paid a single cent, and the winners are usually determined by the amount wagered on their bets. If you are an analyst looking the system using one model or so, the chances of winning could be very low. Simply ask yourself, if you are the owner of these markets, will you happily pay out 6 or 7 to 1 profit to any strangers out there? The answer is an unequivocal no. Given these considerations, a longshot that is interpreted as having a low chance of winning should emerge as a winner. This is why I labeled this type of scenario an action wipeout, as it is so common nowadays. So, to ensure you're covered, buy a 1% using your capital on 3 longshots that appear impossible to win whenever you invest. In this type of money world, it appears that there is little mercy in place, as the government taxed the house but happily left the house to decide the rules, that tenfold or more taxing on the investors in return. Seem like an old ironical joke, but it's the harsh reality. If you watch live races, you will notice that some favorites will steer into the path of traffic, while those who are desperate to win will steer forcefully out of the pack and into the clear. If you are a jockey who has been trained to handle such a situation or who is aware that such a scenario may occur in a large field or inner barrier, you will exercise extra caution to ride the race in a more tactical manner. Many times, this does not happen, and top jockeys seem like having a split personality on different occasions, handling horses in heavy traffic differently. Simply put it this way, even if he was being questioned, the money was already lost with no dispute. There are hundreds of excuses in place. The stewards may raise some concerns, but they will be easily refuted by the trainers and jockeys conveniently. Many doubts are cast on the jockey's judgment when horses are started slowly for no valid reason. To be fair, aside from race days, the jockeys spend 70% of the time on trials and jumps, and horses with poor jumps are exempted from races until they pass the tests, so what could be the problem? Based on observation, races with more than 11 runners commonly have slow jump occurrences. It couldn't be much of a coincidence, as in a huge pack, slow jump ensures the horse trails more than 10 lenses or more, no chance of victory at all unless it's a really strong runner. As such, to avoid such dirty tactics, choosing the runner's field or playing only in play may be a good idea to avoid issues on the jump, which is definitely a killer.
Here's a bonus observation based on hundreds of videos and replay reviews on greyhound racing. If you're a greyhound fan, I'm sorry to say that the hounds races are not easy to invest in. From observations, it's highly suspicious that their neck belts or leg wraps could be embedded with remote device chips. Many races are won with last-minute heavily punted favorites winning firmly on the track with huge margins apart. Hey, look, these are just animals after all. And how do they know they're being punted or heavily supported? Are we pretending to be ignorant, or is it just pure luck that any last-minute super firm down runner won so convincing? Who the heck got such accuracy to know which favorites can win in animal racing uncontrolled by riders? Similarly, when the last winning superhounds re-raced again, they did not win again, either could be squeezed out, flung off, or blocked crazily on the jump, or suddenly race wide. Even given any benefit of doubts, with so much inconsistency and uncertainties, I doubt there are any real standards in any hounds. In reality, normal punters and gamblers have only a 20% chance of winning. From what I understand, many rely on last-run results, last-pour-run rebounce effects, tickets news from some sources, horses firming up last minute, good barriers, strong magical jockeys, new gears, and change of distance, or change of jockeys and trainers. There are so many different types of variants that people can suggest and consider that I can only say that money is king, that those behind the scenes will decide the outcomes, and that with no connections no one will be spared. Based on my 30 years of experience, here are some tips to avoid larger losses that you may want to reference and implement.